at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel. Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I
feel. Welcome back to the Prophecy series with the Prophecy 3, The Ascent. Now, there's this idea that sequels like to try and one-up the previous film in the series somehow, but how could you possibly one-up the Angel of Death? Simple, the Angel of Genocide. Yeah, apparently they need one of those. Oh, but don't worry, Gabriel's here too, just not how you'd expect. This is the Prophecy 3, The Ascent. We start the movie pretty much the same way the last movie started, the pointless killing off of the previous film's protagonist, as we see Valerie with her Nephilim son being napalmed for no discernible reason. I think they're losing interest in former protagonists. Oh, and it never gets explained why Valerie and her son were attacked by a mob. It serves to change her son's personality to suit the movie, but the why is left in the ether, which is extremely lazy. We then move to a makeshift church, and Gabriel, looking quite worse for wear now, shows up for the sermon. The preacher is Valerie's son, Daniel, named after his father, who isn't Asian in this film, even though he was in the last film, and technically so was his father. But anyway, Daniel is preaching that God exists, but he doesn't care about humanity. Daniel has also become smug as fuck and badly acted, which is not a good combo for your main character. At least Daggett and Valerie had compassion, unlike Daniel. We do see a good bit of Gabriel's character come through though. God is dead! It's surprising that Gabriel would react that way, considering before he wouldn't care what humans thought of God, because they didn't deserve him according to Gabriel. But also it shows that he's got no hard feelings over his punishment, because he clearly respects God. However, smug Daniel is about to be taken down a peg, as Brad Dourif of all people pulls a gun and proceeds to gun him down. Hey, this movie's looking up. And Gabriel watches everything going on as Brad Dourif tries to use a knife to finish the job, but is unable to. Gabriel stands by and watches as Daniel's girlfriend cries over his body. Now, it might seem pretty callous of Gabriel to not do anything to stop what was happening, but despite how it may look, Gabriel is a changed man, and there is a lot more going on than we know at the moment. Brad Dourif goes home and it's revealed he's actually blind, so his ability to fire a gun accurately has been given to him by some unseen force. And that force visits him sounding quite like the pits of hell.
I did what you told me. The blasphemer is dead. The heart.
Oh. Yes, Brad Dourif forgot to take out Daniel's heart, because being half angel, he can only be killed that way. Whatever being that's talking to Brad Dourif, no one in the movie ever talks like that again, so I can't tell who or what it was. It's possible that it was an evil angel who will show up shortly though. Also, Brad Dourif, yeah, he's gone, never to be seen alive again. What a great use of such a talented actor, yeah? We then get a glimpse of an angel skeleton in the desert, which I'm certain I've seen somewhere before.
Here's the angel, see the angel, it's my angel, no one else is next to the rakes.
No, actually it's the skeleton of Piriel, and we get a brief glimpse of him and his weird hands. And that night, the angel I mentioned, by the name of Zophiel, appears as he jumps down from a building and touching a symbol on a wall, the significance of which will be explored later. We then move to the second most recurring character in the series, the coroner, and he's examining Daniel's body, finding he recognizes his mother's name. And after looking her up, he finds Valerie's death record, analyzing the photo and figuring out that Valerie was shielding her son when she died. Not sure why that's so shocking to the guy though. Meanwhile, the police are taking statements interviewing Gabriel, wanting his information to contact him again.
Is this address current, Gabriel?
I can tell you in 2 words. Unfortunately.
It's so weird seeing Gabriel making jokes and smiling like that, and his dialogue is really funny.
All right. There's no date of birth here, why is that?
I asked a woman at the Department of Motor Vehicles that same question. She told me not to bother her on a coffee break.
This film is definitely a lot darker in tone than the previous two films, and it's so much more weird that Gabriel is where all the film's honestly really funny stuff comes from. The other films weren't comedies by any means, but it's almost like the film has flipped itself upside down, with the film being as dark as Gabriel, and Gabriel taking in all the light-heartedness. It's almost like a metaphor for his character's progression, really. And he's still got his omniscient knowledge.
The fact is, I'm old enough to know better, Sparky.
What'd you call me?
That's what they called you when you were a kid, right? Yeah, you did good.
Zophiel goes to the police station asking to see the morgue, doing some kind of mind trick to make it look like he's holding an FBI badge. Quite the convenient trick too. Gabriel had lackeys to do that kind of stuff. While Gabriel is walking out, he meets Zophiel and recognizes him immediately. They talk, with Zophiel wanting Gabriel to come back to his cause.
Come back to us. We can retake what's rightfully ours. We can make it like it was before the monkeys.
It's amazing how much he sounds like Gabriel did, but Gabriel admits that he likes it on Earth, and that he never wanted to destroy heaven, meaning that Zophiel is working to an even darker purpose than Gabriel was. And in the morgue, Daniel's having a Lazarus moment, getting a flashback of when his mother died, showing that Gabriel saved him from the mob. And after experiencing his death again, he gets a vision of laying on a mountain of bodies with Pyriel above him, and... Okay, I can't ignore it. Pyriel's fingers look like dicks. I'm sorry, I know it's childish, but I can't unsee that. He has dick fingers. Anyway, moving on from that gross imagery, Daniel wakes up in the morgue drawer kicking his way out, meaning he has superhuman abilities now too. I mean, apart from the immortality. And the coroner takes a picture of Daniel, just wanting answers at this point. But the coroner's not going to get any, as Zophiel comes into the morgue looking for Daniel, but he's already run off. And Zophiel tries getting answers from the coroner, but seeing the symbol on his neck, the coroner wisely keeps quiet. He tries telling Daniel's girlfriend what the hell just happened, with her obviously not believing it, but the coroner's noted Zophiel's symbol for his own research later. The coroner is an interesting character, because he's been at least partially involved in every movie's plot, but never been a part of it. He's just been there to give information. But what I like is that his character isn't blind to the fact that this shit keeps happening to him. He's very self-aware. In a way, he's almost like the audience within the film, seeing the events play out, but never taking part in them. Outside the morgue, Gabriel meets Daniel, and he recognizes Gabriel, but isn't sure where from, with Gabriel saying he knows him very well. And once he runs off, the light above Gabriel flashes brightly, almost like a sign. The coroner does his research, including using Daggett's prophecy book and Uziel's homemade Bible. He finds Zophiel's symbol, with it saying that it's unclear where his true allegiances lie. So maybe he's found something different to believe in outside of God and Lucifer, with the coroner ominously writing the symbol and name Pyriel, which is the symbol Zophiel touched. And while the coroner does his research, Daniel's girlfriend Maggie comes back, as she's starting to believe him, even more so after seeing the photo the guy took. So the coroner takes her to see more evidence. The next day, Zophiel is still searching, somehow managing to find a single strand of hair from Daniel. Yes, he's an angel, but seriously, finding a single strand of hair is a frickin' miracle in itself. And dude, don't put that in your mouth, you don't know where it's been. Daniel is at a lake, and he seems to be very angry at that bandage. How can someone badly act putting on a bandage anyway? I'm giving that actor a lot of shit for his acting, but I honestly feel that even the filmmakers thought he was bad, because he's not given a lot of screen time or lines. It honestly does feel like Gabriel is the main character, which I'm all for, really. But no, it's more Daniel, as he gets his mountain of bodies vision again, and after seeing the symbol in the water, he somehow knows where his would-be assassin lives, as he breaks in and finds the guy is very dead. Yeah, get your fingerprints all over the place, that's great. Zophiel shows up, sensing Daniel, but he manages to slip out quietly, and then Zophiel climbs on a table, and then licks the guy's eyeball. Dude, what's with you and putting horrible things in your mouth? Daniel's gone to a donut shop where he ODs on a massive amount of sugar. It's actually because his body is regenerating tissue, which causes sugar cravings, apparently. So that's why I keep eating my weight in donuts. We then shift to the coroner's house, where he's doing what he does best, exposition dumping to the more prominent characters, as he tells Maggie that Daniel is a Nephilim. She asks if he really believes that, and the coroner talks about everything that's previously happened to him, giving this film a nice amount of references and continuity with the previous films. I must admit, with the darker tone and the way it's calling back to the previous films in the series, it really does feel like this film is the concluding chapter to a trilogy in a really good way. Of course, Prophecy 2 didn't really relate to the first one all that well, and it wasn't a good middle film, but Prophecy 3 so far feels like a decent conclusion. In the donut shop's nasty as fuck bathroom, seriously, get a goddamn cleaner in there, Daniel is inspecting something on his neck, which seems to be a growing angel symbol. So does that mean he's becoming full angel? Cause you do know that angels and Nephilim are pretty different things, right? They're meant to be different, you know, like, that's the point. So Zophiel, as he tends to do in this film, shows up at the shop buying a donut he doesn't eat. He also asks the worker if he's seen Daniel, and even though Daniel is literally 2 feet away and could walk out of the bathroom any second, he tries to get Zophiel to pay him for his useless information.
You answer my question, or I'll personally see to it that you spend the next millennium chained to a damp wall, wondering just what it is that's been winding its way up through your bowels for the last 750 years. Cool?
Yeah, I don't think you've got Gabriel's badass attitude. But Zophiel's forced to pay and rather cleverly uses a napkin, making it look like a $50 bill to get the guy's information. Daniel can sense Zophiel's outside the door, so he bashes it down right on top of him. Anybody gonna do anything? Why isn't the worker annoyed at the damage to the store? And what about the other patrons? Daniel runs off and Zophiel takes chase, jumping through the window. They run around for a bit until Zophiel catches up with him as he tries using his heart-removing weapon, but Gabriel's there to hit him with a car, as Daniel gets away, and Zophiel tells Gabriel it would be easy to kill him.
Killing you would be so easy.
Fried food can kill me. A mugger can kill me. You're not so special down here, Jones.
I think Gabriel's got his badass magic back. Only he can say, everything can kill me very easily, and make it sound like don't fuck with me. Zophiel asks how he can like how he is now, and Gabriel tells him that it's because of sex. Yes, I'm serious. He talks about how having sex is like death, and it's amazing.
Once, I was an angel of death. Now, I die every day when I have the cash.
I hope that wasn't too bad of a mental image for you there. Daniel goes back to where he was shot, and Maggie shows up for a strange reunion, especially when she sees his bullet wounds. But they do end up kissing regardless, with Daniel getting more Pyreal body-mounting visions, forcing them to stop, with him shouting for her to leave. And outside, Maggie sees Zophiel go into the building knowing he's there to kill Daniel, so she quite cleverly calls the cops. Zophiel and Daniel square off for a fight, and apparently angels always have to jump at each other in mid-air when fighting. Seriously, that's happened every time. Zophiel tries using his weapon, but Daniel fends him off with a pipe, and then throws him against the wall, pinning him to it. Why does Zophiel need a weapon to take out hearts? Every time it's been done before, it's been with bare hands. I liked that, it made the whole thing more brutal and visceral, but this weapon really isn't necessary. Zophiel tells Daniel about Pyreal, referring to him as the next god, which is really interesting to me. Because Zophiel isn't trying to get heaven back for the angels like Gabriel did. He's actually paving the way for his own Messiah, who he sees as Pyreal. So essentially you have a cult of angels worshipping another angel, which is a great twist. I honestly didn't expect that. Making this strange warring trinity of Lucifer in hell, God in heaven, and Pyreal on earth. I gotta admit, that made this film a lot more interesting now. Daniel runs off and tackles a biker to steal his motorcycle, which is quite the dick move, and he drives off, because again, Daniel somehow knows he has to face off with Pyreal. Maggie goes back into the building, finding a skewered Zophiel. He lies that he tried to reason with Daniel, but then pulls out the pipe and starts pouring at Maggie. She manages to run, but unfortunately he has her keys and gets her in the vehicle. She pulls a gun on him, which Zophiel knows isn't loaded, so he gets her to drive after Daniel. So now everyone is driving, including Gabriel, who rather comically gets annoyed at the radio for playing the song Earth Angel, changing the channel to something with a bit more of a beat for another funny scene. You know, it's good, but...
I gotta have more cowbell, baby.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't resist. While driving, Maggie and Zophiel are talking, and he complains that she's driving too slow. So she crashes the car, managing to take some bullets, loading her gun. She shoots him in the leg, surprised that it doesn't stop him, so she shoots him in the chest, seemingly putting him down. Unfortunately, she doesn't know about the double tap, so he snatches the gun, grabbing her, telling her he's not there to hurt her and is her friend, lying through his teeth again. He also extols the virtues of the cult of Pyrial, telling Maggie that he's the savior, talking about how voices are driving Daniel now.
Voices that drive an angry mob to incinerate a mother, desperately shielding her little boy. It is those same voices that now speak to Daniel.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. So that's the film's explanation for the mob attacking Valerie and Daniel? You know, that's a pretty important fact. Something that needed a hell of a lot more explanation than just a vague piece of dialogue. And he never actually explained it, so I'm maintaining that it's never really explained. And frankly, never explained is a lot better than a bad, vague, rushed explanation, thank you very much. But anyway, rather annoyingly, Maggie accepts everything Zophiel tells her and gladly drives off to find Daniel. She must be some kind of giant moron, that's the only explanation. And Daniel pulls into a gas station, finding Gabriel's already there fixing his car. He asks why does he keep seeing him everywhere, and Gabriel just straight up tells him that before he was born, Gabriel tried to kill him. He still doesn't know how or why he failed, but Gabriel's following Daniel so he can finally find out why, as Daniel gets a vision of, surprisingly, Mary from the first film. Gabriel's definitely the most interesting he's ever been in this film, almost becoming an anti-hero in some ways, because he doesn't know why he needs to protect Daniel, but his search for the answers and his own possible redemption is what drives him to continue. And just like the first movie, it's not selfless. Yes, Gabriel is being selfish in some ways, but it's a very real way to act, and without getting too poetic, it's pretty human too. So Daniel, guided by his vision, goes to speak to the same tribe of Native Americans that Mary was a part of, and thoroughly surprising, he actually finds Mary herself, and it's the same actress from the first movie. Mary tells Daniel that she dreamt of him, and tells him that she saw him fighting Pyrial. However, sadly, that's it for Mary. I would have liked to have been here more, but oh well. Gabriel stops in a diner in a pretty damn funny scene. However, I'll try to explain why it's so damn funny. See, in the first movie, after Gabriel resurrects Amanda Plummer's character, they went to a diner to get directions to where the tribe is. I didn't include that scene due to time constraints, unfortunately, but the scene in this film is great because Gabriel's asking for the same directions and from the same waitress from the first movie. It's one hell of a fantastic callback, especially when the waitress even asks about Amanda Plummer's character. There's also some more added comedy from Gabriel.
Where's your friend?
Oh, you have a long memory. Rachel is under the weather. She's bedridden. But I'll tell her you inquired.
What do you want?
Everything. 3 eggs, yolks, firm, not hard. Bacon crisp, hash browns, dry wheat toast, butter on the side, and a portion of your famous blackberry jam. It's gonna be a long day.
Maggie and Zophiel catch up with Daniel, and he forces Maggie to speed up in an attempt to ram Daniel off the road, with a sandstorm making it even more difficult for everyone. But for some reason, Zophiel ends the whole thing by causing the car to flip several times in mid-air just from jerking the wheel. Which is one hell of a design flaw with that car. There was no ramp there, so apparently a quick turn of the wheel and you get a manic death spin. Zophiel gets out to taunt Daniel, seemingly forgetting when he got his arse handed to him the last time. And he takes out his dagger, which can turn into a spear now. Not that it would help the situation for him anyway. And still, he gets a beating by Daniel, who knocks him down and then sticks a tailpipe in his chest, before beating him over the head with it. Daniel tends to Maggie, who's dying at this point. However, Daniel didn't make sure to finish off Zophiel, so he comes back, literally stabbing Daniel through the back. But before Zophiel can rip his heart out, Maggie shoots him several times, and after Daniel takes the spear out with added nauseating double vision, he quickly tears out Zophiel's heart. The main antagonist for the film is dead, and personally I found him kind of annoying. He really didn't have a personality. The Angel cult stuff was interesting, but he was just a stone-faced Terminator character constantly on Daniel's tail. He searches for Daniel, finds him, has a confrontation, Daniel gets away. Rinse and repeat. Quite the boring antagonist really, and didn't even hold a candle to Gabriel. And speaking of Gabriel, he appears at Maggie's side with Daniel asking him to save her life, but he can't do anything, telling Daniel that he knows how bad heaven will be for her if he doesn't finish what he went there to do, which convinces Daniel to leave to face Piriel. And Gabriel's humanity shows through when Maggie asks him to hold her hand, comforting her, and telling her not to be afraid, which really is the conclusion to Gabriel's redemption. Gabriel's character really has gone through an arc, going from evil angel to recurring villain to anti-hero to full-on good angel. It's really great to see, and his arc is the highlight, brilliantly acted. And whether it was planned or not, it does feel like Gabriel's character was all laid out from the beginning. In the desert, Daniel has found Piriel's skeleton, and him being there seems to cause Piriel to come back to life, with an added circle of fire, which becomes his symbol, and then he's back. And Piriel freely admits that he's there to cause mass genocide, showing Daniel what will become of humanity. And after a quick
Fuck you.
the fighting begins. And are you ready for the biggest disappointing climactic fight scene in cinema history? I don't think you are. Shall we watch? Daniel stabs Piriel through the chest, which only stops him momentarily. Daniel tries pulling it out, but Piriel starts squeezing his head with his dick fingers. Ugh, how's that for an image? But Daniel manages to break free, leading to a big Deus Ex Machina cop-out, as a bolt of lightning strikes the staff, subduing Piriel, allowing Daniel to pull his heart out. And once his body's been reduced to bones again, Daniel crushes his skull with a stone given to him by Mary. That's seriously it. 2 minutes. I timed that fight scene with Piriel, who was built up as the biggest bad of them all throughout the entire film, and it lasted all of 2 minutes. And not a single punch was thrown. I mean, for fuck's sake, Zophiel was harder to kill. Come on! Was the production running out of film? What the hell? Daniel walks back, the symbol on his neck now fully formed, and back with Maggie, we see that Gabriel has also got his redemption, being fully restored to the badass angel he was. But now he's quite the good guy, as he brings Maggie back to life. And the film ends with some narration from Gabriel saying he now hears the word of God again. So there you go, the concluding part to the Prophecy trilogy. And honestly, it was actually a lot better than the Prophecy 2. The Prophecy 3 had quite a few problems, that ending fight scene being one big one. But those bad scenes are surrounded by great callbacks to the original, stellar acting from Walken, and really interesting explorations into Gabriel's character. The Prophecy 2 didn't have big problems, but the film as a whole was much more dull. The Prophecy 3 feels like a great conclusion to what was set up in the first film, with bringing back Mary and the diner scene being strokes of genius. And let's be honest, this film is all about Gabriel. It's his movie, not Daniel's. And really, Gabriel was what this series was about in the first place, so the film's just being honest. However, I should say that this film is a hell of a lot better if you've seen the first movie. It's more of a part 2 continuation to that than a sequel. And yeah, although I said this was the concluding part of the trilogy, I actually meant the Gabriel trilogy, because they just couldn't leave it alone, as the series will continue without Gabriel with the Prophecy Uprising. However, seeing as we're getting close to Christmas, we'll take a break from the Prophecy series for something different. So until then, see you next time.